Okay, hello my multimillionaires and vocabulary expansionaires. Today I want to be practicing and doing the project English Mastery again. And we are here in Google Docs writing with speech recognition. This is a really powerful tool for you if you want to master and if you want to get good in a foreign language. There are so many languages that you can write with speech in this program. You just need a microphone and a freaking Google Docs program. You can use it in any browser. Actually, you need a Google browser to use this, and you just start speaking to your microphone and it will write word to word what you say, like this. Do you want to see opportunities and doors open in your life that you would have never imagined possible before? Do you want to become such a good communicator that people will say to you that your ideas are crystal clear and your delivery of your thoughts and your emotions and your vision is so effortless? You heard that word? That's the first word we fucked up. Effortless. Yeah, effortless. You know, that sounds good. That you almost sound like you are really from United States, for example. I'm going to say to you, in my town, I'm from Finland if you didn't know. In my town there's a couple, there's quite a many American people over there. And I have talked to like a few of them, Americans, in my town. But I would say that Americans, when they talk English, you can hear that they can't talk any other language, or at least you can hear that that's their own language. And I feel that that's almost impossible to reach that level. Because sometimes the way they actually pronounce words is not that good, you know. They sound American, but maybe the way they communicate is not so clear. And I feel that even if you are like American, you're not interested in, or from Great Britain, you know, and you're not really interested in like learning another language. You shouldn't learn Finnish, you know. There's nothing to be gained out of it, you know. You shouldn't learn this language. There's nothing to be gained. But you might still become a better communicator if you use this tool. You will become more clear, because if you think about it, the amount of times you have said a word in your life, it might be something like 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000, maybe even 10,000. But even if you still keep pronouncing it better and better, you will become a better communicator. That was not really clear, you know. What makes a good communicator? Where does a good communicator learn the skills to be able to transmit his ideas clearly to the people he's communicating to? That's a question. Like, what makes a good communicator? Where do you learn this stuff? Yeah. How do you clarify your ideas so they are better? So you can transmit them better. You can transmit them better to the people you are trying to give, for example, a speech to. Like, how do you actually learn this stuff? Well, first you have to work on your ideas. So we are gonna continue this speech thing we started in the last hour. I also want to talk to you about your ideas. Your ideas are maybe how something could be accomplished, how something could be done, your idea about how you did something, about how something could be. Ideas are really something where your imagination and reality kind of coalesce into each other. This word is kind of like putting your hands together and you see them like going to each other, you know. Yeah, that was very well explained. That kind of stuff, but you know, you understand what I'm going for over here. But it shouldn't be that way. If you want to be a clear communicator, you shouldn't rely on people just understanding or just kind of making people understand what you are on about. You should be crystal clear. That's why you need to learn how to pronounce words crystal clear, but also develop your ideas so they can be easily explained. But now we might ask a question. We're gonna take this line and we're gonna take this over here because this is ideas, and we are gonna start to divide this up into a book. We're gonna make a chapter and just say that this is the chapter number 4. Chapter 4, ideas. So this is a like a plan for myself, but this is going to be a book. Let's just say that, and we're gonna write that over there. But now we might ask a question: can you develop ideas without language? Do you need language to develop ideas? Because I feel that ideas actually are more visual. They are explained after the fact. Ideas are first seen and then explained, not the other way around. So what we are trying to accomplish here is actually two things, and these are two separate things. We are trying to become better in getting ideas, in making ideas, and in seeing and having a vision for ideas to come. Well, you could use your Visa card over here also, but if you want to pay. And in seeing and having a vision for ideas to come. But also, on top of that, we are trying to learn how to transmit those ideas to other people with crystal clarity. That kind of stuff, you know. I want to be making another chapter over here. Chapter 5. Method. Well, yeah, that's also good, but this book is about more than giving speeches, but you know, message, you know, yeah. It's an interesting program because it's at the same time kind of like smart, you know. It kind of like gives you these suggestions, you know. You could say that this program is kind of a, I don't know if it's supposed to be that way, but I feel that this program is in itself kind of a hypnotist, because it kind of like makes you, it kind of like gives you these suggestions, you know. And I feel that this program actually has some power in it, you know, to shape your life and to shape your habits also. And I am going to say that in that sense, this program is not like free. This program is trying to get you to do stuff. I feel that there's an intelligence behind this program, and but I have felt that my life has actually been getting, in some senses and in a lot of senses, a lot better through using this program. But I would say that that's the catch 22 in this program, that it's kind of an undue influence type of thing. It shows you words and it makes you think in a certain way. You want to say this, but then it's kind of like, yeah, what about this, you know? And yeah, and it's in that sense, it's kind of smart, but at the same time, it really can take you in a certain direction that is actually pretty good, you know? So I would say that this is also a self-developmental tool. Yeah. So yeah, crystal clarity. You want to be able to like. So what's your message? You know, well, if you are asking me this, you know, like the Google Overlord, then yeah, now it's the Overlord. You know, like all of a sudden, chapter 6 message. Let's just fly with that. Like, what's my message? Well, what's a message anyway? What's a message anyway? You can write a message. You can write a message on your keyboard and send it to someone, and all messages are in the same way, in that sense the same, but actually the message is more about the structure of how you say the thing you are trying to say. Or actually just the opposite, actually. No, that's not, it's just the opposite, you know. The message is more about the structure and what you say. And a message a message has to, at least I think, get the gears of the listener or the recipient, hard word, or the recipient. Okay, I can get it to like, I can get the program to write that word, but it's a hard word. Recipient. I want to send this letter to this recipient. Man, that's a hard word. And that's the great thing about the program. It kind of challenges you. The listener or the recipient. That's hard. I'm gonna teach you a Finnish word over here. I'm drinking this. This is not about this video series. Is not about teaching you Finnish, but I'm gonna teach you a Finnish word over here. I'm drinking this carbonated water. Kivennäisvesi. Ja tämä, and this carbonated water is flavored with citron. You see, now it wants me to drive a Citroen, you know, that kind of stuff. So this word over here, vesi, it means water. And this actually means mineral. It's a mineral water, not carbonated. But it's carbonated, but you know, you understand. So you understand, this is a mineral, kivennäis. But then there's also a word in Finnish that's called mineraali. And it's the same as mineral. Finnish doesn't make any sense, and you shouldn't learn this language. You know, it's the rules of Finnish language are so fucking convoluted. You know, and if you are a foreigner, yeah, that's one of the target, like that's one of the target customers or the target people actually that I'm a target viewers. I'm trying to like target these videos also to that are from Finland, are foreigners. You could learn Finnish. You could become better in Finnish through this program a lot. You could become much better in Finnish, I believe, through this program if you are a foreigner and you have come from some foreign land somewhere. Who knows? There's a lot of these immigrants. That's the word, immigrant. A lot of immigrants in Finlandia, and yeah, you can become better through this program also. That's one of the things. I mean, I'm kind of different. I want to get out of this country. I want to move out of here. But yeah, but yeah, but if you want to stay here, you should learn. You should learn to become better in the. You should also become better in the native language that is taught, like spoken over here, Finnish. But yeah, it's kind of a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge. So we're not gonna be talking Finnish in these hours. It doesn't make any sense. So we're gonna be talking about methods over here. A method is some way you will accomplish your. Okay, that means update. It doesn't want me to write about that, so we are gonna try something else. Okay, let's just ask a question from my viewers. So, does any one of you in the audience have a DSLR camera? And if you have met me in real life, could you donate this DSLR camera to me, and I could make art with the thing. I could also take different type of cameras. I could even take some pretty old school cameras and just try to make art with those. But I'm not really sure yet how it's gonna pan out. Yeah, I've been doing this art photography thing where I use overexposed settings to take photographs out of, for example, fashion clothes, LED lights, all kinds of installation art pieces done by other artists, and kind of like making those pictures my own. And you can go and check out those pictures, the finished artworks, on my portfolio page, Truth Detective myportfolio.com. You can go to this address, truthdetectivemyportfolio.com, and you can find my stuff over there, my finished artwork, and you can kind of like get an idea. And I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this Project English Mastery right now to also become better in doing my image editing videos, because I started to actually film image editing, the real process of doing those artworks, while at the same time talking through the whole process in English. And I have a goal and a dream that I could actually at some point film myself taking those pictures and make a whole process video of the whole art making thing. And last fall, when I started doing that kind of style, art style, and taking those artistic photograph things. I also practiced this using this program, and I wrote a story about an abstract photographer. It was a really imaginative story about a man that travels to a place called Planet Asia and starts to become world-class artist in what he does, and actually gets a deal and a collaborative thing with a camera manufacturer to create a camera that doesn't and is not even supposed to recreate reality and copy reality in the same way as modern cameras do, but to create a picture that is not what the subject is really about. The world's first abstract photographic camera. And I have been doing a lot of this abstract photograph type of like stuff, and it has come through my background, you know, in like real painting, you know, like real art, you know, like I used to do a lot of drawing, you know. I no longer can do that. That's one of the reasons I write with this program, because I have all kinds of like all kinds of pains in my fingers, my hands, my, you know, bicep muscles, and yeah. I used to do weightlifting, you know. That stuff is not so good for your like joints and that kind of stuff. I had to quit. So yeah. And the man in the story meets another man that is working for a company called Life Pill. And I invented that character mainly through one supplement series, one supplement manufacturer I was using at that time. And I started thinking that what if supplements could be taken to the next level, so they would kind of like become smart and actually start changing your behavior for the better, and you could like program your future and just take a pill and start living that future. In the story, you conducted a life pill consultant, and he asked you questions, maybe in the same way as a psychologist would ask you questions, and then he made a plan, and that plan was baked into this pill that you took. And then your life would change. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I wrote that kind of story, you know, last fall. I worked on it, on this program, for 100 hours, you know, 100 hours. I think more than 100 hours. And, you know, yeah, then I kind of changed, you know. I started writing by hand, and I kind of changed my way of doing stuff. But I really enjoy still this like tool. It's kind of great, but I feel that you can't write anything with it. But it's kind of great actually for imaginative stuff. So he made a plan, and that plan was baked into a pill. Then your life would change, you know. But really, all the time I was writing this story, it was kind of also a dream of mine, a way of thinking of what could be possible for me. Like, could I actually be in association or collaboration in developing cameras? And could cameras be made with a completely different kind of mindset? Could artistic cameras be made? Or is it just that could cameras be designed this way? I feel that what I'm doing right now is kind of like taking what you have and kind of like taking all the limitations that the thing has, the camera, for example, that I have used, and kind of like using them for your advantage, in the picture making. And I had that DSLR, and I talked about my hand paints and my finger paints, and when I used that, it was kind of it was more heavy, and the ergonomics of the thing were actually pretty bad. I got all kinds of finger pains through using that. Probably not an issue for a regular dude with regular hands, But for me, I couldn't use the fucking thing. It took great pictures in a sense, there was not any zoom on it, but it took kind of great pictures. But yeah. So I started thinking that could artistic cameras be made? Like, why are cameras done the way they did? I know that in cameras you can get all kinds of filters you can put on top of the picture, but I feel that I want something else. I want a camera that's not even supposed to recreate the scene you are trying to picture. I feel that you could make cameras work so that they would recreate your artistic vision or maybe paint a digital type of picture out of the scene you are picturing. Like, there's so much possibilities there. If you have ever done painting, you understand that each painting and every painting is an abstraction. Even photographs are abstractions. They are never the real deal. They can get pretty close, actually really close to the real thing, but they are never the real thing. They are abstractions. Pictures. You understand that? So I want to create, like, what would it be called, Like, what would this thing be called? Like, artistic camera, like painter camera, like what would it be called even, Like, you could have more sliders and settings that in current DSLRs don't exist. What if you could change the level of abstraction or simplification in the picture? What if you could make or simplify a picture into simple blocks of color. If you have seen, for example, the Impressionists, you understand that you can give that feeling of actually being somewhere better than you can ever give with a painting. With a photograph. Photographs never transmit that feeling that you are actually there. You know, they can't do that. They just can't. You know, photographs are photographs. You know, that's the like the uniting thing about photographs. They are always photographs. But with paintings, you know, you can get that feeling. And that's great. I think that's great. But that's not really what I'm going for. But it would be interesting to be able to do something like this. But then you kind of like start to realize that that with painting you have so many variables, you know, so that would like what kind of, you know, I don't know, like an algorithm would have to be made to like abstract the photo, like how do you actually do this kind of stuff? It's image processing, I think. All of this would be related to the image processing after the picture has been taken, or could it actually be made so that it was actually taken in that way without any processing? That's what I mean. Could you make lenses that made this kind of stuff possible before it even gets processed by the camera itself? Because if you think about image, like photography in general, you have the camera, it kind of like, you know, the picture, when if you just had a lens, you know, just a lens, you know, I have this clear water bottle over here. When I look at, you know, the for example a lamp that I have behind me over here, like next to my screen, when I look at it through this water bottle, it doesn't look anywhere near what it actually is, the lamp. But it could be a kind of abstraction. You could say that when I'm looking at it that way, it's kind of the same principle as what happens with maybe a camera, you know. So at what point do you make that, at what point in the process do you make it kind of like, do you make it art, you would say? You can see you can look at some of my abstract image editing videos, and you can kind of get maybe an idea of what I'm going for over here. But really, this is something that I hear like so few, at least photographers, like go for or talk about. I feel that nobody goes for this stuff. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's probably because I have my background in, you know, arts, and not, you know, just photography. That kind of stuff. So what? How could this be accomplished? It's possible. Could this practice that I'm now doing also be a segue to me working with camera design? I have no understanding of how cameras actually work, but it would be interesting if I could see something like this become a reality in my lifetime. It would kind of give meaning why I ended up with this kind of health problems with my hands, and yeah, that kind of stuff. It would be awesome. But now I use like devices that have been designed by somebody else, and I just, I just experiment them, and I don't know what are the possibilities. I'm going to explain to you that I got a new DSLR camera and tried to make this kind of abstract art with it, but I felt that the pictures were kind of too maybe soft, or they lacked that kind of character that my older camera had, because the camera took better quality pictures, but I also felt that the pictures lacked something in them. And I'm trying to find a camera that is actually good just for this type of thing, and I of course can't ask anybody any help in this because nobody fucking does this thing. Like nobody, like I have to figure this out on my own. I'm pretty sure that, I won't find another dude that does exactly this type of thing. It's kind of original in that sense. Yeah, you could go and you could start doing what I do, but I feel that I can be pretty open with my process, because it's one of my, I could say, principles in life, that be open with your process, because when somebody else starts copying you, you will always have a new idea that the other person doesn't have. That kind of stuff. And you want people like copying you. That's great. Yeah. So what do I do? Well, now I have another camera coming in. Actually, I have this camera, Canon Mark III PowerShot. I have been doing all that stuff on like a PowerShot camera, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little better in actually kind of like the way I'm gonna do the art, because it's more lightweight and the screen is designed better, because I take a lot of these pictures from myself, from close and like close distances, and that camera actually has better, the f value, about that, like how well the camera performs in low light conditions. At least it's supposed to be. I don't know. As I said, I'm really not a camera expert, and like nobody of the people I have talked about cameras has said that, yeah, I do that, and this is how, and this is the best camera. Like, no. Yeah, no, like I don't know, I can't find those kind of people. Yeah, they have just said that, yeah, that has been done before, but yeah, it has probably been done before, but it hasn't been done to it hasn't been honed to that level. It has been probably for those guys, it has been left to the experimental side. I want to hone it to like a real thing, not just, some experimental fucking stuff. I want to make it like real. Yeah. Yeah. That kind of stuff. So I wrote a story about it, about this man. I wrote a fucking story about the man and another man, and they meeting in a place called Planet Asia. Because oh yeah, in the story, where are we gonna write this thing? Like, oh, not that way. Like in the story, there was this dude, you know, there was this dude. There was the dude, and the other dude worked for the life pill company that could change your life, and then there was this other dude that like was the abstract photographer. And I feel that in the story of the abstract photographer, the next part in the planet Asia is probably related to what has been happening in the last year in my art, and kind of trying to make that into a fiction, because I have been taking a lot of these abstract photography art pictures out of fashion clothes, these type of clothes with flashy colors and that nobody wears in real life except me. And I have been taking a lot of photos and making art out of those, and I have been feeling how the clothing designers' vision and the way the feeds into the way I do the thing and kind of guides the picture into completion. So it's starting to get into this collaborative effort type of territory, and I like that because of my limitations in my physiology at the moment. Because I can no longer paint, I can no longer draw, I can no longer do all kinds of stuff like that I couldn't do, like digital art from scratch on like a tablet, even if I had the skill, because, you know, I just can't draw anymore, you know. It's just so much pain, you know. Like, I can't do it anymore. I had to stop. So this is my new endeavor, and I feel that I will find a way, and I have modified my body to find me that way. You know, I found this style because of my problems. You know, my health problems. I wouldn't have found it otherwise. You know, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been so motivated and so serious about it otherwise, you know. I would have figured out, yeah, there's probably another way to do this stuff. But yeah, that's one of the reasons. So it's starting, yeah. So I want to write this into a fiction next. And the abstract photographer might, for example, in the next book or in the next chapter of the book, start collaborating with the fashion world, maybe in Planet Asia, or maybe there's Planet Milano. And maybe that's his next destination. Making the next generation of, like think about that. Like if I just write over here, like, the fashion world and the photography world are so intertwined in the modern age that I would feel and I would guess that what I'm going for here is at some point going to attract the attention of maybe those both. I have been like communicating with the Paul Smith, like this Paul Smith car company, through their customer service, and I have gained some, you know, like feedback from there to this stuff, but I haven't contacted any. I haven't contacted any for like camera makers. Actually, I have talked to photographers and I have talked to like salespeople about this, but all of their responses have been kind of the same, you know, like 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 all of their responses have been kind of the same, and I feel that maybe that's not the way. That's not not the way I can like get this to the next level. Maybe I should like go straight, like for example like Canon, and just contact them. I don't know if it's gonna be a hassle, or Sony, and just say that I do this kind of stuff. Here's how I do it, and it's kind of experimental, and I do it with it in association with like the fashion like world, and I know that fashion and photography are kind of intertwined, and I feel that the art world has something to give to this stuff, and I'm thinking about this kind of I'm thinking about making art out of this stuff in this way, and actually like combining like those how clothes are they are not called exhibitions, but how clothes are, the catwalks and that kind of stuff. That's usually women's fashion, yeah, there are catwalks for probably for like men's fashion, but men's fashion I think is it has more creative freedom, even though it's more limited in many ways than women's fashion, because with women's fashion you can do anything, you can do pretty much anything. Well, you can't, but you can do anything with women's fashion, men's fashion is a bit more limited, but the way you could like exhibit that stuff, I feel there's more freedom there for men. So I feel that you could like combine this into like this, like here's this artist that is like doing like this is one of my like goals, or like dreams. Here's this artist that is doing like art out of this like stuff. Here's the speed of the process, how he does it, and here's how this like clothes match to these designs, and like here's like this here's this clothes, for example, on a catwalk, and you like combine those things into like this one, you know, like multimedia type of like thing. Here's this, like you could even segue this stuff for to something like movies, like I don't know, for example in Hollywood, for example, like do they use a lot of do they use a lot of like really high like fidelity, type of clothes? Do they use those, or how, like, at least what I have like seen out of the stuff I have bought, and it's nothing amazing still, it's what I've bought, clothes you can see in my videos, they are kind of high end, and they are high end, but they are not, they are not anything, in those €1,000 ranges, they are not like that, but they look amazing on camera, and I'm kind of thinking that like yeah, you like start combining these like things, like why not? Yeah, you could even segue the stuff for something like movies. Could you make an abstract movie out of these pictures, or could you abstract these designs of clothes into film, or like movies, or moving pictures? Does it have to be just static pictures? Like insane like idea, like brainstorming over here. Yeah, this kind of stuff. I'm having a lot of fun when I think about the possibilities, and it's always this way that when I come back to this tool, I kind of like prep my brain for the next stage. It's kind of like coming back to the square one, or coming back to the drawing board, or the blueprints, you could say. And yeah, that's those are one of my like questions. Could you make an abstract camera? Could you make like I I'm going to start asking this question. Could you make an abstract camera? Could you make a camera do abstract art? Could you use the subject matter that the camera is picturing to make abstract art. Okay, so we are envisioning the future of abstract art over here. Abstract art is kind of interesting because almost nobody is interested in it, but it's almost nobody is interested in it, and it's pretty misunderstood art form at the same time, and at the same time it's so well, I love it, you know. I think it's the highest art that you can do, I feel. And literature is the other one. I feel that music, even in the highest levels, you know, is kind of lowbrow. And I feel that realistic art is kind of lowbrow also, because it's so, there's no innovation there really. It's just what it is. But I feel that, for example, you know, the surrealism, it was kind of that there was something there. But I feel that abstract art is so great because it deals with the basics of picture making, and it deals with the basics of color and the basics of composition, and it's another realm, you know. It kind of frees your mind. When you do abstract art, it frees your mind out of the boundaries of the physical world and the boundaries of like owning stuff, you know, like this is not this thing. And it's kind of, I don't know if the abstract art is kind of in itself, you know, kind of more free, and maybe also more like not so capitalistic in a sense, because in capitalism you have this like way of owning stuff, like this is my property and this is yours and that kind of stuff. But in abstract art you are not picturing anything, you know. You're not like, you're not taking those items, you know. You don't need items to make abstract art. But then again, I have used, you know, like for example those fashion clothes art that has been made by somebody else, or kind of mass produced art that has been made by somebody else to make something of my own. And I like it, you know. I like the process. I feel it's great. But I feel that I have kind of a hard time to make people like really understand what I'm going for. And I feel that the process is getting to that kind of, you know, wizardry type of like realm where I feel that nobody will be able to replicate what I'm doing. I feel it's getting to the like wizardry realm, you know. So I want to make my process of doing abstract art and doing art in general to that wizardry level. Where I can be really open about my methods of working, and I can just show you how I do it, and you won't ever be able to replicate what I do, because it's so not based on some formula of doing stuff. It's so intuitive, and it's so based on just how I feel if some thing I'm going for is good or bad. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Okay. And I feel that the next video, this is Project English Mastery, but I feel that the next video I'm gonna be doing for you tonight, I'm going to be slapping some abstract photos, and you know, I have this. I'm going to be explaining to you this little deeper for you. Um, the fabrics that I photograph have different surface qualities to them. Some of the fabrics are more shiny. For example, I had a lyocell shirt that is a new fabric. It's called lyocell. And lyocell is a new fabric that hasn't been around for a long time yet. And it's kind of experimental stuff. It's not your cotton, you know, and you can't make a really a durable shirt, for example, out of it. But it's really interesting fabric because it's so shiny and it's so kind of so like lightweight in itself, and the surface quality kind of changes the end picture, and it transmits the feeling of cloth or fabric into the photograph, even though the photograph is still a photograph and it's digital, but it has that same materiality behind it. And that's one of my visions for that art. It's the materiality has to feel like kind of painterly, but it still has to feel like something different, you know. I'm going for something, it's just something that I develop, you know. And I'm thinking about how I could use movement in those pictures in a different way. Maybe I could move the subject instead of the camera. Maybe I could move myself instead of the, you know, like for example, like you see those, this is an idea I got, you know those G-force experimental things where you, when you go inside of the G-force testing equipment and it spins you around, you know those things for pilots, fighter pilots for example. Could you into that kind of structure attach something colorful and make it spin and take photographs of it and do that kind of abstraction? I'm thinking about also using many different layers by taking photographs of many different shirts, for example, overexposed. In the same principle as you could wear those shirts on top of each other. Like that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. Like, could you take pictures of those? Like, I'm going to add. I'm thinking that I'm going to take pictures today of those. I'm gonna take a couple of shirts and I'm going to try to overlay the pictures on top of each other. And I'm not sure what is gonna come out of that. I have no idea, but it might be interesting, and then it might not work. I'm also thinking that how. I'm also thinking about how the actual design of the, for example, the shirt or the pants or any kind of fabric that I use is going to affect the final product. Could the process be reversed and turned around in the design of the shirt? Could you reverse engineer the design even further backwards or forwards? Could you reverse? I have never heard that word. I don't know if this exists. Could you forward engineer it? The design. Yeah, that's pretty high level. But you know, this was just, you know, brainstorming. Now I'm going to start taking those photographs, and I'm going to be showing you. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to film the whole thing, and I'm gonna try to make you a video of what I'm talking about here. It's going to be a pretty tedious process, I feel, but I feel that we should do this. I feel that there's something here. So thanks for watching. I'm going to continue this. This is a video series I'm gonna be doing, and I'm gonna divide it into these hours, and I might leave this video series for a long time, and I might come back to it at some point, and I just want to inspire you to start using this program to develop your talking style, your pronunciation of your words, and using this tool can completely transform even your career, you know. I feel that this is going to be beneficial for you, even if you're like in any situation in your life. Start doing what I'm doing over here. Just start, you know. Get yourself a USB microphone and start trying. Start experimenting with this stuff. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for watching.